So the unfortunate reality is there's a lot of manipulative men out there. All right. Now, I do not believe, I know that the majority of men are not just manipulative, horrible men. I know some of you may feel like that, but no, there's a lot of good men out there. I do think a lot of the bad experiences people go through are heavily due to the mismatch of those two people rather than that individual just being inherently this horrible person, okay? But that's a whole nother different discussion. None of that changes the fact that there are men out there that you may come across that are literally out to manipulate you, literally out to use you, take advantage of you. And some women may say, well, Stephan, you need to talk to these men and tell them to stop acting this way. I hear you. I have my channel for men. I encourage healthy behavior. But no matter how many men I talk to and reach, like I can get 5 million men tomorrow to start being extra amazing. That doesn't change that there's billions more out there who you may one day come across who may do things the wrong way. One of them or a few of them, whatever. So you have to focus on what you can control. And what you can control is understanding how these men operate. Understanding the tactics that they use so that you don't fall into the trap of letting them play you and get the best of you. So go into this video saying, okay, by me getting a better understanding of these things, I can navigate through the waters of unhealthy men a lot better. And that way also not get discouraged or caught up in a way that it blocks you from receiving that great man. Okay. So let's get into some of these tactics. And I have a video that names some other ones, but these are more tactics that a manipulative man might use. And so one of the first ones I want to talk about is giving you the silent treatment. Okay. So you have a lot of advice on the internet nowadays that tell men to essentially use silence as a weapon. And let's be real, there are women who have done the same. But we're not going to focus on the women right now. We're focusing on what the men do. And so essentially, whether some refer it to, it's just telling men to ignore you, things of that nature, to cause you to then, crave their attention and want the validation and essentially put the power back in their hands, all these different things. Now, I have to acknowledge and let you know that there's some men who are doing that simply due to bad advice being given to them, and they think that's the best way to handle it, even with a woman they actually do care about. I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of men are being led astray in that sense. However, there are the men who are they know the game and how this game works. And so they will use the silence because, let's say, for example, you've been upset with them. This man has not been giving you the attention and the time that you need from him, right? So you hit him up and you're expressing your frustration. You feel like he doesn't give you enough time and all these types of stuff. All right, he hears you out. And then the next few days, he goes silent. And sometimes that tactic is done because it's like, okay, even though it was literally just about giving you more time, by going silent on you, it's like taking the spotlight off of and I know that might sound weird because you're like, well, it's still highlighting the fact that he's not giving you his time and attention, but it makes it now about you, like hoping that he hasn't left you, all right? So it switches it from you holding him accountable to not showing up the way that he needs to into you being afraid that, oh my gosh, I might have lost this man, so now let me try to get him back or smooth things over, right? Or when you talk to him, you're like, well, why haven't I heard from you? And now he can I've been going through some things, and he's completely changing the subject. And because you're so happy, or that woman is just now relieved that she was able to talk to him again and he's back into her life, so to speak, it's like the real issue gets brushed under the rug. So the silent treatment can be used to create anxiety within you, can be used to create fear within you. And all these manipulation tactics that we're going to go through, they tend to then turn the tables. They turn to remove the focus being on him and whatever the specific issue was, and either putting it on you or turning it into something completely different. So now, if you come across a man who engages in that behavior, one, you cannot let the fear of, oh my gosh, did I lose him by trying to hold him accountable to this issue? You can't lose sight of that. Like, so if he finally pops back up, or you reach out to him and now he answers, he doesn't get to dodge that issue. Like, don't make the mistake of just now moving forward because you guys are now talking again. No. Are we going to correct what we talked about before you went ghost or not? And if we're not, if anything, you should actually see his silence as a greater example of why you don't need to be dealing with him. All right? But don't let him trick you into losing sight of whatever you were holding him accountable to. Now, if, for example, because crazy things happen, let's just say there was literally something tragic that occurred. Someone passed away, and so his silence was not a manipulation tactic, but in fairness to you, you're not sure if he's just giving you some story or what the case may be. Then you simply, if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt in that situation, you simply have to lay down the structure of how we're going to handle things moving forward. It's like, all right, cool. You had something happen. You shut down. You didn't know how to handle it. Maybe that's how he tends to handle things. But going forward, if we're going to be in this relationship, I need better communication. I need at least you hitting me up with a text saying, hey, such and such happened. I'm not ready to talk right now. I need a little space, but I want to let you know what's going on. If he can't agree to at least that, there's nothing for you to work with here. Keep it moving. And just accept that this is a man who is either trying to manipulate you, or even if he's not trying to manipulate you, is not healthy enough to be in a good relationship with you. All right, so here's another tactic that a man would use to manipulate a woman, and that's guilt trip you. All right? Guilt is a very powerful thing. It can make people do things they shouldn't do. It can make people remain in a situation they shouldn't remain in. You name it. So let me give you an example of how a manipulative man will use guilt. All right? And this is the extreme example, but it happens. You're with this man. It's not a good situation. And again, whether it's he's a bad guy or it's just he's not for you, either way, it's not working. And he hits you with, oh my gosh, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself. And now the fear and the guilt of, I don't want anything bad to happen to this man, I can't walk away. Or it could be, he lives with you. You know you need to get rid of him. But you feel guilty that if I put him out, he'll have nowhere to go. And so now that guilt is keeping you in this relationship and allowing this man to continue to leech off of you and take advantage of you. And all of these men, no matter what kind of example I use, they all know your weakness. They all know that deep inside you have a soft spot and that you're going to have a hard time going through with the action if he hits you with, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I'm going to kill myself, all these things. Now, it's not that I want anyone to be dismissive of someone threatening suicide. But I also don't want people to be held hostage by someone who's using that as a manipulation tactic. Now, sometimes, you don't know for sure. And this may sound bad, but there comes a point where that's not your responsibility. If it's going to stop, it's one thing for us to ignore somebody's cry for help, and we just need in that moment to stop and pour into them and show them some love and try to help them out. It's nothing for someone to literally try to keep you, like, staying in that relationship means this is an ongoing thing where you are unable to do what's best for you. So you pouring into them is not simply an inconvenience of the moment, right? If that's what it would call for you to help them. It's literally you derailing your life. That to me is a line that you can't cross, because then how long are we going to do this? How long are we going to allow this person to use that and hold that over your head? That's not good. It's not healthy at all. So whatever it is, especially the whole putting him out one, because believe it or not, I mean, that's definitely more common than the suicide one. And there are so many women right now who are just afraid to let a man go because, oh, he has nowhere else to go. And let me tell you something. A lot of times, one, they do have other options. They just don't like the other options. It's almost like, all right, you have some situations where this man could go back and live with his mother. He just don't want to live with his mother. He'd rather be living with you. So he's going to say, I got nowhere else to go. No, he does. He does. And he'll figure it out once he's out on his behind, and he has to make a choice. All right. For some other individuals, it might be what needs to happen for them to get their life together. Some people need to fall flat on their face. Again, no one is saying to put out some man who is good to you and doing his part and pouring into you simply because he doesn't have his life together completely yet. We're talking about a man who is not treating you right, bringing you stress, overburdening you, causing problems, and then wants to use the guilt trip for you to feel bad about putting him out. That's not acceptable. That's not okay. So there's a lot of different scenarios where the guilt can come in, but that guilt trip is definitely a tool some manipulative men will use. All right, so let's keep this going. And another tactic some men will use to manipulate a woman is being very judgmental. All right, so a lot of people do not like to be judged. And fear of other people's opinions can paralyze some individuals. And again, some men understand how powerful that can be and will use that judgment to then control the woman and get her to do the things that he wants her to do. One example that comes to mind that, again, of course, doesn't apply to every man who feels this way, but there's some men who feel like their woman doesn't need to be out nowhere, out with her friends at no club or whatever the case may be. And some of y'all may agree with that. But the point I'm trying to get at is some will take it to the level of, and not just being out, how she dresses when she's not with him, all these different things. And I understand everyone has their line, granted. What I'm telling you is some will use the judgmental nature of, oh, women who go do this are blah, 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 blah. Like, he'll speak down on those women. He will berate those type of women. He will strike fear in you that if you engage in this activity, he will look at you this way. And because you don't want to be looked at in that way, you fear crossing that line. Now, here's the thing. If what he is, again, let's just say how you dress, if you guys are in complete alignment with dressing like that, then this wouldn't matter, right? But if you are now going against what is comfortable for you, what you enjoy, this is a problem because you're allowing this judgmental manipulation to get the best of you. And I think everyone needs to find that person they can be themselves with, right? Not try to accommodate in ways that go against what truly puts a smile on your face, what truly makes you feel comfortable, what truly works for you. And so you have to ask yourself, and I'm sorry to kind of get a little sidetracked here, but it's one of those hitting my spirit moments. So one of the places that judgment has thrown a lot of things off and people being true to who they are and what they like is in the bedroom, okay? And the big problem is, again, if you're not being yourself, whether someone else thinks that you should change that part about you or not, if you're not owning up to what you truly like and what you enjoy, to the point where now these experiences in the bedroom with your partner leave you extremely dissatisfied, that's a problem, because your willingness to continuously show up in that bedroom is going to be severely diminished. And that creates a different disconnect in the relationship, and it snowballs from there. A lot of people get with a person who will judge and look at them poorly for what their preferences are in intimacy. And that's a problem, because not only should we be able to be ourselves in general, but especially in the bedroom too. Now listen, some people are into some wild, kinky stuff. And I'm not saying everyone, again, no one's saying that anyone has to be down with that. I'm saying that if people would be true to who they are and just recognize, all right, we don't fit because we don't appreciate those parts about ourselves with each other, so to speak, then we move on. We move on. But you can't let that, well, damn, I don't want him to think badly of me. I don't want him to look at me in this way. But then the whole time you're depriving yourself of what you truly desire. That's an issue. But going back to the main point at hand is that, yeah, there's some men out there who will use that judgmental nature. I feel the need to mention, like, especially, I've heard this a lot in situations where, let's say, a woman is dating a very, quote unquote, churchy man, a pastor, whatever. And again, this doesn't apply to everybody that carries that label, but they feel the household has this man has a very judgmental nature to him, to where it not only stifles her ability to open up, it stifles her ability to open up in so many different ways that then it's almost like living in this box that she is so uncomfortable in and afraid to get out of, because she's, one, afraid to face the wrath of his judgment, and afraid of the potential that she will lose the man that she's hoping to hold on to, even though she's not really happy because she can't be herself. So be mindful of that, and don't let someone's perception of things cause you to lose sight of who you truly are. Hey, so before we continue, I want you to take this opportunity to show me your love and support by joining my special messaging group, where I send you messages by video, by text, that are encouraging you, pouring love, positivity, and just good energy into you, so to speak. Join today, only $5. Go to the link in the description or link in the comments section, and part of the proceeds from this program go to my Healing Generations Foundation nonprofit. So it will help me in advancing my vision of providing more coaching and therapy to our communities, and doing a lot more than that, because we're going to have so many programs set up, and I'm very excited about what's on the horizon. So again, click the link in the description or in the comment section. So now, as we move on to the next point, another tactic men will use to manipulate a woman is constantly complain. Okay? So to some men, nothing you do is good enough. Now, I always say you'll never be good enough for the wrong person. All right? And that's just the reality of when we are not truly in alignment, when we truly don't fit together, it's not going to hit the way that it needs to hit. It's not going to resonate with them the way that it needs to, because there's a disconnect that exists in that relationship already at the foundation of it. However, there are some men who they're going to use the it's not good enough and the complaining to keep you in a place of inadequacy, to keep you in a place of second guessing yourself, to keep you in a place of trying to gain his validation. So it's almost like, if I keep undercutting and undermining your efforts, but I already know that you desperately want to make this work and you're trying to keep me around, it keeps you fighting to try to do more. I'm trying to do everything to make me happy. And I don't give you that bone, so to speak, that prize of, yes, you did an amazing job. Because no, I'm going to keep that fire under you, that you got to keep trying harder, keep trying harder, keep trying harder. But also, it's because it's going to cause you to feel insecure. And it's so much easier to manipulate and control a person if they're insecure, if they struggle with self-esteem. So I can't make you feel amazing about yourself. Oh no, that's going to boost your confidence. If I'm a man trying to manipulate you, then I'm trying to keep that confidence as low as possible. All right? This is why you'll have some men who will flat out insult their woman, call her all kinds of names, degrade her. Because again, it's like they're trying to destroy your confidence, trying to knock you down a few pegs, because it's going to be so much easier to do what they want to do with you. So you've got to recognize when, and let me say this again, are there some men who are complaining because they have, I was going to say because they have deeper issues within themselves, but hey, if they're manipulating you, they have deeper issues within themselves. So regardless, that's at play. But I guess I'm trying to consider the fact that, again, not everything is done. Not every man who does this, his mentality is, I'm trying to manipulate her. But there are that do. However, regardless of what his intent is, if you're dealing with a man who you know you're putting your best foot forward, and you're trying, and nothing is good enough, and all he does is complain. See, it's one thing if he can celebrate you, but still give you constructive criticism. You have to be open to that. You can't expect for everything to be praised if he's being real with you and saying, okay, I love this, but this could be better. To me, that's healthy. Nothing wrong with that. He's being real, and you have to learn how to receive that constructive criticism the same way I would want him to be able to receive your constructive criticism. But when he can never give you praise, when he can never acknowledge your efforts, that's a problem. There's an issue, and you know you're trying. You got to stop and say, you know what? I'm doing too much for someone that I don't belong with. I need to recognize that there's something off here, and I need to take all this good stuff I'm bringing elsewhere. All right? So it's important, and if you have already fallen into that trap of low self-esteem, lacking in confidence, then one of the things that's going to strengthen you to walk away from that situation, let go of that manipulative man, is addressing and resolving the things that have undermined your confidence. See, a lot of women struggle to let go because on the surface, they know this man is bad. They know he's toxic. They know he's not for her. And you got other people even telling her this. But the problem is she doesn't have the confidence to walk away. So no matter how much she knows it, that's not going to empower her enough to do what she needs to do in many cases. However, if she starts to address the underlying issues that have compromised her confidence, and now she starts to stabilize and get that back on the right track, now she is much more empowered to take the necessary action and walk away from that man. So understand that you've got to address things at the root when you're having a hard time letting go, and you know you already see this man is not for you. All right, so got a few more to go. And another tactic a man will use to manipulate a woman is playing the victim. So here's a common scenario that's happened where, let's say, a man is engaging in inappropriate behavior, right? He's been sexting, texting women inappropriate sexual things, flirting with other women, maybe even flat out seeing somebody else, whatever. Always been very private with his phone, right? And let's say one day you as a woman decide you want to go through the phone, right? And now, let me say right now, I am not saying that going through a person's phone without their permission is right or okay. But let's be real, it happens a lot. So woman goes through his phone, sees the inappropriate messages, addresses the man, they get into an argument. And now what the man does, the manipulative man in this situation, is he's not even addressing the inappropriate behavior. He's making it all about how dare you go through my phone. How could you? You don't trust me. I can't trust you anymore. You violated my privacy. He now has somehow become the victim. And crazy as it seems, it's worked a lot. Meaning, whether it be that kind of scenario or a different one, plenty of men have, again, turned the tables by making it about what you did in reaction to their initial violation and inappropriate action. All right? And the woman losing sight of what this is really about, why this even started, gets caught up in the battle of defending herself for having gone through his phone. Now, here's the thing. Again, because I'm acknowledging that it's not right for us to be just going through people's phones, right? You can acknowledge that you did not handle it correctly while still holding them accountable for what they did to begin with. The problem for so many women in this scenario is that they get so lost in defending themselves. And even in some situations, because depending on how skilled the manipulator is, he goes beyond just attacking you now and playing the victim for invading his privacy. He takes it up a notch and says, you know what, I don't even know if I want to be in this relationship anymore. I'm done. So now, not only is the woman trying to defend her action, right, or apologize for it, she's now in a panic because even though she confronted him about the inappropriate behavior, she actually was not prepared to leave this man. So him threatening to leave and no longer wanting to be there has her in a frenzy, and now she's just trying to cool things over so that she doesn't lose her partner. And before you know it, the real issue is swept under the rug. And she may bring it up later. They may have another argument to some degree, but it's not like she leaves him. It's not like she holds him to account or there's any level of real punishment there. At the end of the day, he has successfully turned the tables on that woman. So you have to make sure, listen, again, the key whenever you are addressing someone and they're now trying to play the victim is you can acknowledge whatever it is they feel like they are the victim for and still bring it right back to, but this is the problem. So it's like, okay, you're right. I was wrong for going through your phone. That was not the right way to handle things. I acknowledge that. Now let's get back to the fact that who the hell you been texting? like you got to swing it right back. You have to be very mindful of not letting them continuously move the goalpost, so to speak. And if they are unwilling to address the issue, then that tells you right there, like, what are we doing here? If they can't own up to it, like, again, I'm not going to get too deep into this. I'm just going to say, if they can't even acknowledge it, apologize, anything, what are we doing? What are we doing? Because it is, to me, without even that, because we could always make the argument, well, just because he apologizes or acknowledges doesn't mean he's going to start acting right or won't do it again. Okay, true. But if he doesn't even apologize and acknowledge, then we know there's no way that this is going to get better, right? One way, there's a chance it gets better. The other way, we know it doesn't get better. So that has to at least be there at the foundation. And if he can't give you that, what are we doing here? But don't fall into the trap of now you have to defend yourself all the time and you're forgetting what he actually did to start this whole mess. All right, so we're almost close to the end. And another tactic a man may use to manipulate a woman is jealousy. All right? So a lot of men who are manipulators understand how there are a lot of women who get caught up in competing with other women. And by knowing this, we'll use that as a way to get you to do what he wants or to fight harder for him or whatever the case may be. So whether that be comparing you to other women, like bring it up to you, if you were more like boom, 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 or this one used to do this for me, boom, boom, boom. Now, I acknowledge there's some couples who literally joke like that with each other, and that's a different story. But there are some who are using this to purposely make you mad, rile you up, and get you to act a certain way. And so whether that be even literally flirting with other women, engaging with other women, you have some situations where, let's say a man is seeing two women at the same time, and it gets to a point where now they're fighting each other. They'll let these two women fight. Because I've seen it so many times where there are women who they're so consumed by the fight with the other woman, the idea of I cannot lose out to her, that even though they know this man is no good, not for them, and they weren't even really truly happy with him, they will do everything in their power to keep him because in their mind, I have to beat her. And him, being the manipulative man that he is, he knows that. He recognizes that. And he will allow that other woman to linger to essentially keep you in line. Keep you motivated to keep doing more and work harder, all right? And you as a woman have to recognize, and I know some of y'all are like, hey, that could never be me. I hear you, but there's others that are listening right now, and it was you or it is you right now. And this is no judgment zone. I just want you to be encouraged and to understand you got to snap out of it. And you got to recognize that, one, it ain't worth fighting with no woman over no man when he ain't even good. Number one, if you have to even fight with some other woman, how good is this man really? Because if this man loved you and was really a good man, he would not just allow you to have to battle with some other woman. He would step in and kill the situation and identify, no, you are my woman, you are number one, end the story. If he can't give you that, he gonna sit back and let y'all have at it, that's a problem. That is manipulation. That is someone who's not serious about either woman involved in that situation. Or in some scenarios, is too weak of a man. I was trying not to use the word weak, but it's just real. Too weak of a man to understand how he needs to step up and put an end to the nonsense. Which to me says you ain't ready for a real relationship if you can't find it within you to handle this situation the way that it needs to be. There's something that you need to face, but that's a whole different discussion. The point is here, you can't get caught up in that. And if you start to notice your partner is using jealousy as a tactic in a very not the joking way, but an unhealthy way or a way that is affecting you in a negative manner, you've got to make that clear to them. That you don't like that, you don't appreciate that, that's a problem for you. If he cannot honor and respect that, that shows you even more how much of a manipulator he actually is. Because if he's serious about you and he loves you, he won't continue to do things that make you extremely uncomfortable or causes you to lose confidence in the relationship. All right, and last but not least, another tactic a man would use to manipulate a woman is using God. Now, I'm not going to make this one long, but keep it short and sweet. There are some of you who have experienced, or maybe you've heard about it, a man coming to a woman saying, well, God said you're supposed to be my wife. Now, let the record be known, there are women who have said that in reverse to a man. All right, I know this 100%. But either way, man says that. And listen, sometimes that man is genuinely telling the truth. That's what he heard, or that's what he at least genuinely believes he heard. But there are men who use that because they know it can lure a woman into embracing being with them and allowing them to take advantage of that woman. And it's not just, well, God told me you're my wife. It could just be presenting himself as this very God-fearing man and things of that nature because he knows that's what you want to see. And what I feel the need to say right now is like, you know how the scripture says, judge someone by the fruit of their spirit. I believe the mistake that many people make is thinking that you can analyze the fruit by what you see on the surface. But the real fruit is the intent of the actions that come out on the surface. Meaning, a man could do all these sweet, nice things for you. But if his intention is manipulation, then what you see on the surface is not going to tell you what's truly going on with him. And so for me, you can only really know the spirit by the spirit. And that's why you have to not get caught up in what's always being presented to you. And you have to make sure you talk to God about it. Let God tell you, is this really what it is? Is this man genuine? Or is there something else behind what he is doing, saying, and showing you? That's the only way to truly guard yourself against the men who are manipulative and not truly best for you, so that you can remain available for the man who is truly trying to love you. Thank you for watching this video. I pray it was helpful to you. Be sure to watch this one over here on 7 boundaries with men you must set when dating.
Could have been a 3-month or 6-month situation turns into 2 years, turns into 5 years, turns into pregnancies.